Washington is moving fast on impeachment, so how would this process unfold? Let's break it down for you. You have the 6 House committees. They're investigating the president. They would present articles of impeachment, and the members of the House Judiciary Committee would have to approve them. The full House needs just a simple majority of 218 votes to impeach. More than that, by the way, already supporting the impeachment inquiry. Then impeachment goes to a trial in the Senate, presided by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. Senators would be jurors, House members would be appointed as prosecutors, and the president would be entitled to have defense lawyers. A 2/3 majority of 67 Senate votes is needed to impeach, but the Senate is controlled by Republicans. So let's dig deeper now. We'll do that with former Congresswoman Elizabeth Holtzman. Here she is when she was a member of the House Judiciary Committee. She recommended articles of impeachment against Richard Nixon. She is also the author of The Case for Impeaching Trump. Also joining us, Elizabeth Wydra, president of the Center for Constitutional Accountability, also an expert on constitutional law. I welcome you both, and I will go first to you, Elizabeth Wydra. I'm going to refer to you as Elizabeth and to the Congresswoman as Congresswoman, given that you both have Elizabeth first names. So, Elizabeth, help us clarify. Is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, is he required by the Constitution to hold an impeachment trial if the House votes are there to impeach? Or are there any kind of procedural rules that he could use to keep a trial from happening?
So that's an excellent question after what we saw Mitch McConnell do to Merrick Garland, President Obama's nominee to the Supreme Court, which he refused to even hold a hearing for. So, you know, it's important to look at that. Now, the Constitution does not give him this wiggle room in the sense that, frankly, the Constitution structure falls apart if the Senate does not try successfully past articles of impeachment by the House. And also here, another situation that distinguishes it from the Garland situation is the Senate rules, which are very clear that once the House passes articles of impeachment, that the Senate must hold a trial. There's procedures immediately following the passage of impeachment. And, you know, I think what we're at right here is a moment where, you know, Benjamin Franklin famously said, it's a republic if you can keep it. The question here is whether we can keep it. And Mitch McConnell has a big role to play there in making sure that he follows the Constitution and the Senate rules themselves. But I don't think he's going to be able to Garland his way out of impeachment.
That's one way to put it. Yeah. May I ask you also what we can expect from Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, who would be presiding over a Senate impeachment trial? Are there any clues from what you have observed from him on the bench?
Absolutely. So Chief Justice Roberts has made great pains to paint himself and his court as above politics. He does not like them to be seen as President Trump often tries to paint them as political actors. President Trump has said over and over on Twitter that basically he views the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice as in his pocket, perhaps his literal get out of jail free card. And Chief Justice Roberts loathes that sort of thing. You know, he's never said anything publicly about the president doing that, but he's been very clear that he does not want himself and his fellow justices to be seen that way. So in this crucial moment of constitutional democracy, he will go out of his way to try to be above politics, you know, to try to follow the role perhaps of Chief Justice Rehnquist when he presided over the Clinton impeachment trial in the Senate to, as Rehnquist said, do as little as possible and do it very well.
All right, well, let's get to something that the Congresswoman's very familiar with. You reviewed the evidence against Nixon. You've seen the evidence against this president. It has been said that this is worse than Watergate because we're now talking about a matter of national security. Do you agree with that?
Well, I mean, it's different from Watergate, but let's not minimize what Richard Nixon did. And the evidence was overwhelming. I think this is really important to point out. Everybody thinks about Watergate as involving the break-in and the cover-up of the break-in into the Watergate Hotel, the DNC at the Watergate Hotel. The articles of impeachment were much broader. It wasn't just one egregious act. It was a variety of acts. So you had the whole cover-up, the pardons, the hush money, suborning perjury, all of that. And on top of it, you had the breaking into Ellsberg's psychiatrist's office. You had the illegal wiretaps. You had the enemies list. You had a whole bunch of other things. So what you had in the articles of impeachment against Nixon was not just one egregious act, one act that was a high crime and misdemeanor. What we showed was systematic abuse of power and a presidency run amok. So the question is, is this going to be focused only on Ukraine, even though Ukraine is now unraveling in quite a serious way? Or is it going to also attach some of the information on the other articles, on the other possible articles, such as emoluments, such as the Mueller report? I hope they do it that way, because I think if you look at impeachment itself, it's to remove a president. It's not about rapping the president on the knuckles or punishing the president. It's about removing a president because the president is such a danger to the democracy. The more you can show that this is a systematic danger, the more you can show that we're never going to be free of it or safe from it unless he's out of office, the more you have a chance to remove him.
So you're talking about focusing on all avenues here, but
I'm not saying necessarily all. We didn't look at all the bad things Richard Nixon did.
A number of.
Yeah, a number of. More than just the Ukraine issue, it seems.
Watergate, though, as you know, had a smoking gun, and that was the tapes.
Right.
Within weeks after the Supreme Court ruled that those tapes had to be released, your committee voted for impeachment. Public support for it tripled. Republicans turned on a dime against him. And then what, 3 months later, the president resigns the presidency as a Nixon there. So given your experience in 1974, the timing here, this finite window of time that Democrats are facing right now, can the impeachment inquiry be as thorough as it needs to be and look at the different avenues, as you said, not all, but a number of them, or are Democrats going to feel pressure to rush through this?
I think it's going to be very tough. I'm not sure that the deadline is what Nancy Pelosi says it should be, because I think the deadline cannot make the Congress or the House of Representatives look political. The reason impeachment articles worked and there was public support for it was because the House Judiciary Committee acted in a way that was fair, serious, grave, responsible. You look like you're going to a partisan railroad of the president, you're not going to get that kind of public support. So you really have to do it in a way that's, what did the Supreme Court say, deliberate speed? You've got to be speedy, but you've also got to be, look at more than, you've got to look at the facts and put them together.
Elizabeth Holtzman, Elizabeth Wydra, ladies, your insights are much appreciated. Thank you so much. Why support among Republican senators for impeachment may be much greater than you might think. That is